Welcome to another episode of the Online Prosperity Experience podcast. You're about to hear your host, Prosper Taravinga's powerful digital marketing strategies and actionable tactics that you can use right now. Prosper has helped more than 50,000 people from over 10 countries to create meaningful businesses that are profitable and enjoyable. Listen to this podcast so that you too can build your own business with less stress and overwhelm. Let's get started.
Psst. Oi, we need to talk. Do you reckon it's time to start outsourcing your marketing? Because if you listen to a podcast that I did earlier where I mentioned that whatever you're doing is not marketing. You showing up on social media, tweeting, liking, commenting, posting, or going into LinkedIn pods, all of that is, okay, but it's not marketing. We're now living in a world where we really need to engage our audience. We really need to educate them and inspire them to want more, be more, and have more, while in the process providing value and positioning ourselves to be the go-to person in our industry. Are we doing that really? Really though? Because one of the benefits of being in this new tech-driven business environment is that as a coach, consultant, or small business, you don't have to have all the traditional infrastructure in-house. Because I remember when I started working, there used to be an accounting department, a marketing department, there used to be a finance, and then a procurement, all of that stuff. And guess what? All those cubicles have been put to the cloud and replaced by software. And to make matters worse, you don't even need to have a big team that you high-five each other every time you make a sale, or every time that you get hired by, a long-standing prospect. You can outsource pretty much every aspect of your business, from accounting, HR, project management, sales, and of course, marketing. I did a podcast earlier where I was talking about how technology is fast approaching and we are not shifting enough to catch up with it, so much that some businesses or some industries are being made obsolete by AI and robots. And I can understand that you as a coach, growing your own business is tough. First of all, you by yourself, you're cold calling potential clients and having them maybe hang up in your face, and you're sending out hundreds of emails without getting as much as a thank you for maybe reaching out, and you're wasting thousands of dollars on maybe your ad spend without generating any qualified leads. And sometimes it might actually feel like no one wants to buy what you're selling. And when you rely on your business to actually pay rent and put food on the table, man, I can imagine what that does to your self-esteem, and it can actually put a strain on your emotions, which will basically have you wanting to shut shop because you can't bring in new clients. And this is why it's so much easier for you to actually just outsource your marketing. And we all know that outsourcing is not even a new idea at all. You know what I mean? When you were kid, your parents outsourced chores to you. All right, stuff that they didn't want to do, they asked you to do. Maybe washing the dishes, maybe washing the car or cutting the grass outside. All of that. That is what outsourcing is. Literally, making time by finding out who can do it cheaper, better, faster than you can, depending on what your earnings are, etc. But the difference today is that it actually works for just about anything. You can outsource your grocery shopping. You can outsource your house cleaning, even though it's shunned upon. You know what I mean? Some people or some women think that it's an insult for you to bring in somebody who can, clean the house while they're maybe at work. But look at it this way. If you're going to be paying somebody $20 an hour to do the cleaning for you, and you're earning about $80 an hour? Wouldn't you save that high earning time to do lucrative type works when you can still afford that $20 and still remain with $60 an hour without you having to do the mundane and strenuous work? Because many people assume that as outsourcing your business processes such as marketing only for when you've got a larger business and you now can afford, or you've got bigger clients, but it's not so. The same reasons that these big clients or big companies are actually outsourcing, or how big clients would want to work with you, is they want to know that you have help and you have people that can actually make sure that the work is being done while you're out there generating more business. So the same reasons why big companies are outsourcing is just as well as the same reason that you as a small business or as a coach or consultant should be doing the same, even if you're the only person within your business. But outsourcing your business marketing isn't just something that you kinda or maybe vaguely consider. I think it's a whole lot important than that, because you're giving away part of your ego, and that doesn't go away easily. Okay, and you might be asking, how much more important is it? You need to specifically have an understanding that the person that you are giving the job to will do it in a fashion that is cheaper, better, and a whole lot more convenient for you, so you get more hours in your day than trying to be everything to everyone. Well, how about I lay it out like this? Unless you're a marketing professional, marketing your own coaching or consulting or training or information or expertise on your own, is going to end up in failure. All right? There, I've said it. If you don't outsource your marketing, your business is definitely going to fail. And why am I saying that? Because you're going to be competing with people like myself that eat, live, and breathe marketing. We are always looking at what's new, what's working, what's not working. We're looking for new ways to engage, to educate, and inspire our audiences. And then you think, after maybe doing your accounting or your mortgage broking or your HR consulting out there, you still have the brain power to compete with somebody who is full-time doing marketing for their business and other people's businesses as well. Like I said, if you don't outsource your marketing for your business moving forward, you will definitely fail. Unless you are a marketing professional, I mean, the chances that your business will succeed without a professional marketing help is small at best. Okay, I'm sorry to say this or to be the bearer of bad news, but it's true. Because over the past decade, we've helped more than 450 small businesses with their marketing. And I'd say at least 90 of those business owners we've worked with, they would actually agree that after they've worked with us, they realize actually they had no clue what needed to be done. All right, let's just take something like SEO, for example. Yes, you might think it's just showing up on Google, but there's so many components involved. First of all, you have to make Google look good, because Google lied to us. Okay, they made it look like whenever people type into Google looking for information, Google is the one that brings out that content. But guess where that content comes from? From our websites. Now, if you don't know the intricacies of how these companies are working and how to actually look good in front of them, and in the process making them look good, how else are you going to be competing with somebody who's working with a professional behind the scenes? Yes, you might go in and look at a blog that writes the best practices, but if something is best practice, guess what? 95% of the market is doing that, which means you're not going to be standing out, which means you're just going to be just like any other Me Too coach, consultant, or small business owner out there. How are you going to differentiate yourself and brand yourself as the go-to business in your niche? Because too many business owners think that they know what's required. They think that by just following best practices, you've done it. Try doing best practices in your industry right now and see how much dust you'll be seeing from your competitors leaving you out there. But a lot of these businesses, they can't see clearly because they are too bogged and engrossed in the mechanics of their own business. They are way too deep into what they're doing. There's so much inside the photo that they can't see the frame. Yeah? Because working on the business entails you to be there for your customers, and also look at the strategy, look at the reaching out of how you reach out to your customers, and also the provision of world-class service to your customers. Would you be able to do that? So there's a difference between working on the business instead of working in the business. All right? Because when your attention is pulled in 500 different directions with all that's involved in running a business, first of all, you are dealing with suppliers, contractors, employees, insurance, tax, cash flow, everything else that comes along with it. You underestimate the marketing challenge. You naively believe, well, if we built it, they will come. It doesn't work like that. They will come when you build it. All right? And you assume that customers already know why they should buy from you rather than your competition. And the fact is they don't. No, most of the time your customers don't even care. They just want something that works. They just want something that makes them, make sense of the world around them. And you'd be surprised how many coaches and consultants and small business owners have come to us with the base assumption that simply having customers knowing of their experience or existence will mean they'll buy from them. Oh, we just want to do enough so that we put a word out there. Where is out there? Do you even know where out there is? Now, while that may have worked maybe in the time their parents were running businesses, which is generations ago, that sort of thinking certainly isn't going to get you far today. And like I said, and I'm going to keep repeating this, you will fail. All right? So as a coach or consultant or small business owner, your job is not marketing. All right? Your role is to run the business. All right? As an entrepreneur, marketing is just one aspect of running a successful business. You're hiring and managing new staff, you're balancing books, you're driving growth and more. And it feels like a constant balancing act where you are pulled in multiple different directions all at once. And at the end of the day, your real goal is just to help your clients. You want to spend as much time as possible changing people's lives and solving people's problems. You don't want to waste countless hours each week trying to navigate the world of online marketing. And you certainly don't want to spend yet another minute maybe on the phone having to beg people to buy or hire your services. Your role is to run the business. Your job is to close sales, to ensure delivery of world-class best product or service possible. Your role is to motivate your staff. It's to get the best from the resources that you have available, and above all, outsource the expertise and competencies that you don't have. Maybe I should outsource saying competencies on the podcast because somebody can do it better. But unless you're running a marketing agency, your job shouldn't be marketing. I can hear you through the sound waves screaming, but I can't afford to outsource. I can't afford to outsource my marketing. Where am I going to get the money from? See, the number one reasons why a lot of coaches, consultants, and small businesses don't outsource their marketing is because they think they can't afford it. Sure, starting a business is risky. Enough as it is, about not a lot of businesses go past the third year. And 50% of small businesses, they actually fail within the first 5 years. Anything that can be done to reduce expenses at the start has to be a good thing, right? Because you don't want to be a statistic. Try using that excuse in bankruptcy court and see how far it gets to you. The single biggest reason why you need to outsource your marketing is because, let me tell you something, that's what your competition is doing. They're not just hoping and praying with their marketing out there. They actually have professionals that are looking at it. If you look at your website right now, if you're offering more than 5 products and each and every one of those products do not have its own landing page, its own funnel, its own consulting landing page that corresponds to what you're selling, you're already way behind your competition, because a professional would have really allocated a different landing page, a different call to action for each page in order for you to actually maximize the reach that you have, especially if you're going to be doing SEO. And do you think your customers are going to excuse your amateur branding or messaging or communication and lead generation efforts? They ain't got time to wait for you until you figured it all out. What should they do? No matter what you sell, you're not unique. You're not the only coach out there. You're not the only consultant out there that knows change management or whatever it is that you're working on these days. So just park your ego at the door and look at things from their side. Your customers don't want to make a mistake. Your customers want the best. Your customers just want things that work. They're not going to wait until you've figured it all out. Because look at it, customers' expectations are now higher than they've ever been. They have access to any business they want or access to anyone from their mobile phone. So your entire business value proposition, your brand, your collateral, your product, your service, your customer services, they're not only being compared to what you're showing them. You've got competitors that are coming out of every corner of the world. Since we've become a global village, and the customer experience is being compared against the biggest brands in the world. So if somebody drives a BMW and they have the best customer service, when they then come to a personal coach or they come to a consultant, they're going to be not expecting any less. All right? So because that's what the customers have come to expect, that's what they've been spoiled with. They are spoiled for choice. And it's not a question whether you can afford to outsource your marketing or not. It's a question whether you can afford not to. Because you're missing out on the bigger pie, of your customers going to your competition simply because your competition has somebody who's looking after those intricate aspects of their business. Because if your business plan can't sustain the marketing expenditure necessary for you to actually start generating any cash flow or revenue for the business, then you don't have a viable business. Sure, you can make enough money to pay rent, car payments, and maybe an occasional night out with your significant other, but from where I'm sitting, that is not a business. You have a glorified hobby, my friend. So outsourcing business marketing is the most cost-effective way to actually market your business, because you know that what's more expensive than outsourcing your marketing? Trying to do it by yourself. What's ever so slightly less expensive than doing it by yourself? Maybe if you hire a full-time marketing person on your payroll. But don't get me wrong, having a full-time resource to handle your marketing can be great. At least you got somebody that you can rely on. But there's so many modalities to this digital marketing aspect that sometimes you don't need a permanent resource to, structure your emails. You can need them for just 3 months, and then pretty much after that, they've set it up for you, and you don't need a repetition of that. But for coach, consultant, or small business, there's usually 2 issues you really need to consider. No matter how great they are or how enthusiastic they are, a full-time marketing person is just one person. They're not going to know everything, and they can't do as much as even a small agency. So no matter how cheaply they'll do the work for you, they'll be more expensive than engaging an outsourced marketing services provider. If you don't believe me, don't just look about their salary. Think about how much it's going to cost for you to find the right person, how much maybe taxes you have to pay on any, on the employment, social security, how much you have to pay for their super, how much you have to pay for their medical insurance, how much you have to pay for their lunches when they show up at work, how much you have to pay for their mistakes. How about maybe the equipment that they're going to be using, the softwares that they're going to be using, the computer that they're going to be using, the desk that they're going to be using. Maybe they're going to need a phone. What plan are they going to be on? And what happens when they're not at the office? Maybe they're sick. These days, people can just maybe catch the COVID and they're off for a whole 7 days. What are you going to be doing with them? Recently we had one of our web technicians ask for time off for 14 days because he was going out to get married. But since we're an agency, we already have people that are put in place to cater for those outages. But if you're running a small business owner, if you're a small business owner yourself and you have an employee that asks to go for such long amounts of time, who's going to be looking after your business? So when you're working with professionals who do this for a living, it actually gives you access to experience, resources, and expertise that you would have never otherwise thought to have. Marketing isn't a nice to have anymore, because you will go down without it. At the end of the day, what you really want to do is put yourself in a position to win. And is giving your company an ability to have, additional competency or results as and when you need them. Because like I said, some projects don't need to go on and on. Some projects are not recurring projects. It's just a one-off. So let's say you want to set up your emails or you want to set up your landing pages. You can just bring in a competent landing page producer, so you've got the best being done, instead of somebody who just dabbles in that. And you open up the tap for when you need help and close it when you don't need it. And you've got the best of both worlds. Instead of you trying to tinker around with all the expertise and technology that's involved, you can't climb the ladder of success with your hands full. You can't be the person who's tweeting and following up with Instagram chats and also following up with email inquiries. At the end of the day, fixing up the webhook that brings in new leads to your CRM. Obviously, the things that I've just mentioned can all be automated, but if you don't know that these things need to be happening, how are you going to actually have all of that automation happening in your business? So outsourcing your marketing actually gives you access to top drawer experience and advice. But hey, you're the boss. You're in control. And you still drive all the initiatives. It's just that somebody else is just behind the wheel doing it for you. Then you can actually go into your real job of actually helping your clients and spending as much time as possible changing people's lives and solving problems instead of you tinkering with software. And once you've got it all automated and you've got the processes and procedures, all you just got to do is just hire for when you need it. And when it's done, that person is gone. You no longer have to worry about, making sure that that person's well-being is okay. You're paying their life insurance. You're paying their super or pension contributions. Or when they're not employed, you're still worried, about their unemployment benefit and all of that stuff. And people all automatically come with problems. Or especially if they are an experienced marketing professional, they're going to bring in whatever ways and methods and systems that they used to do at their old business, which might not be what you're looking to create for yourself in your own business. So like I asked you when we started this podcast, do you reckon it's time to start outsourcing your marketing? Have you actually identified your target market and clarified your message in such a way that, you can actually go out there and start buying customers in different medias? Have you got the landing pages ready? Have you got the lead magnets set up so that each and every one of your products is being represented? And if somebody lands on it, they actually get the right kind of information that alleviates the pain that they're going through. I mean, we've got all of these things running around in our businesses, but if we're not doing it well, there's somebody who can always do it cheaper, better, faster. And like I said, it's not just marketing. You can outsource pretty much just every part of your business: accounting, HR, project management, sales, and of course, your marketing is really, really crucial because that's the inroad to you getting a business that's profitable and enjoyable. And we've established this is nothing new at all. Your parents were outsourcing, not marketing, but they were outsourcing jobs to you that they didn't want to do themselves. Tell me if you never had an opportunity to help your siblings, maybe with their homework, or cut the grass outside, or maybe go to the shops and, run errands. That was your parents outsourcing. But why are you bogged down in website creation? Why are you bogged down in community management? Why are you bogged down in your social media? Why are you bogged down in your lead capturing funnels? And why are you bogged down in your nurturing system instead of you being out there delivering world-class experiences for your customers so that they can get to know, like, and trust you? And we all know that people do business with those that they know, like, and trust. So like I said, outsourcing your business marketing isn't just something that is kind of or maybe something you have to vaguely consider. It is actually more important than that. How much more important? Well, like I said, unless you're a marketing professional, marketing your coaching or your expertise or your training or your information business on your own is definitely going to end up in failure. So if you don't outsource your marketing, your business is definitely going to fail. So if you're going to be working with an agency like Live Long Digital, the first step that you want to do is just download one of our blueprints just so you can have an understanding of how we can help you start, scale, and grow a business that's profitable and enjoyable. And you can literally start gaining traction in less than 2 years, depending on where you really want to take your business. Now, once you do this, you never have to cold call another client. You never have to send yet another email that gets ignored. You never have to lie awake in bed wondering where your next client is going to come from. And you finally enjoy the growth of your business and financial security. That means you can live life on your own terms. Sounds good? Awesome. I'll go into more detail about this game-changing method when you then schedule a consultation with us so that we can look at really what your business is doing and what you're hoping to achieve in order for you to actually start creating for and relating to your audience. Like I said, fast forward to today, we've partnered with more than 450 businesses in various industries, and we have managed to actually really get them results. And now it's your turn to discover how your service business can actually grow from where you are to maybe a 2 million valuation in just under 2 years. Okay, we've created a method that is actually tailored to help any service business explode in growth. So any coach or consultant can actually achieve the same mind-blowing success that we've helped our customers achieve. And it doesn't mean that it's something that you have to jump through hoops in order to do. Just jump onto our website, www.livelongdigital.com.au/OPB, and then you can actually start working on your business instead of working in your business. I'll tell you something, you can afford to outsource your marketing. You just need to know what it is that you're doing, because that's what your competition is doing. And like I said, don't think that your customers are going to wait until your amateur branding or your messaging or your communication or your mediocre lead generation efforts have actually started working. Why should they? All right. So no matter what you sell, just remember that you're not unique. You're not. Okay. So you want to park your ego at the door and start looking at things in a way that will help you really reach out to your target audience and clarify your message so that you can go out there and help people by actually helping them. All right. Our customers' expectations are now a lot higher than they have ever been. So you want to check if your business value proposition, your brand, your collateral, your product, your service, or your customer service is actually at par with what your customers are expecting currently. So if you're going to hold on to the little money that you have and not invest in your marketing, then that's going to be grand opening, grand closing. Don't say I didn't warn you. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, let's continue the conversation in the Live Long Digital community. Become a Live Long Digital community member today. This community is for ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners with the drive to take control of the future of their businesses and achieve huge success without stress and overwhelm. As you heard, Prosper can help you by teaching you marketing strategies that work. So look no further than the Live Long Digital community of entrepreneurs and highly successful business owners. Join our community today. Find us on www.community.livelongdigital.com.au. Network with other driven entrepreneurs and find the expert guidance you need to take your business to the next level. www.community.livelongdigital.com.au